Good morning. Welcome, Minister Theo Francken, the Belgian Defense Minister. It's a pleasure to have you here for this Thought Leadership Forum. In the Thought Leadership Forum, we try to bring top decision makers in Europe to discuss in a frank and open way the major issues which are affecting Europe at the moment, and certainly defense and security is one of those areas which we have to focus much more on. In the EPC, we've had a newly instigated program now for a year and a half of defense and security, looking at DefSec EU, where we are looking at practical solutions on how to rebuild European capabilities, how to invest and prepare for the challenging environment in which we are finding ourselves in. So it's a pleasure to have you here. We'll have a keynote speech, and then we'll have an exchange on stage, as well as a Q&A with the audience. But without further ado, thank you, Minister, for coming, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good day, everybody. My sister worked here at EPC. She's now director at the World Bank in Washington, one of the directors, high-ranked official for the moment. But she worked here 10 years ago, I think. It was nice. It was the first time I was here because she worked on food security, food policy. She worked at the KU Leuven part-time and then part-time here at EPC. So I'll send her a selfie. Oh, she's sleeping now. Ladies and gentlemen, in my keynote, I wish to share thoughts on two issues of equal importance: the quest for peace in Ukraine and the future of the European defense industry. Within the next weeks, a second meeting between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin is planned in Budapest. Although Belgium desires a quick ceasefire, we consider this effort doomed to fail. Putin still demands that Ukraine hand over unoccupied territories. More than 6 months after the initial peace talks in Saudi Arabia, he remains unwilling to freeze the front line and accept it as the de facto new border, instead seeking to expand his empire further. Let me be clear, until Putin accepts a ceasefire, there is nothing to discuss in Budapest. Only two responses fit his stubbornness: more sanctions on Russia and more weapons for Ukraine. Pressure must increase. The pain of continuing this war of conquest must outweigh any perceived gain, until Putin realizes the futility and danger of pushing on. Dear guests, we can only achieve this goal through Western unity and solidarity. The US sought to dissuade India from buying Russian oil by imposing American tariffs. The results are disappointing. Both the US and the EU must realize they lack sufficient weight when acting alone. To change the behavior of third countries that help Russia evade sanctions, a common approach is essential. Together, the US, UK, Canada, and the EU count for 45% of global GDP and 50% of global consumer spending, figures that really matter. Whether we like it or not, Europe and the US must coordinate their economic diplomacy if we want others to stop fueling Putin's war machine. Meanwhile, our support to Ukraine must remain unwavering. Belgium is fully committed. This year, we deliver €1 billion in military assistance. Since our last UDCG meeting on September 9th, Belgium has deepened its engagement, contributing 100 million extra euros to the Pearl initiative. Our total defense support stands at 2.4 billion since 2022. Our philosophy is simple: give Ukrainians what they need most. We provide them with F-16 pilot training, 155mm shells, machine guns, ammunition, maritime support, including one of our mine hunters, and assistance in demining, IT, drones, and electronic warfare. We have also contributed 150 million euros to the Germany's initiative for safer skies in Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, now some remarks on defense industrial policy. Russia has placed its entire society and economy on a war footing. Old factories have been revived and new mega factories created, echoing Stalin's famous quote, "The war is won by factories." Its military-industrial complex mimics that of the Soviet Union, centralized, command-driven, and under full state control. That allows for quick decisions and production at scale. Yet, Ukraine is still in the fight. How? By innovating and staying one step ahead of the enemy. Under constant bombardment, it has built a vibrant ecosystem of small bottom-up enterprises. Teams of engineers and IT specialists working in underground garages are developing drones and electronic warfare tools. These startups thrive because they operate in a country that embraces free entrepreneurship. Their strength lies in ingenuity and adaptability, echoing Winston Churchill's famous quote, "The war is won by engineers." Europe can replicate and surpass Ukraine's success if we link our defense industrial base to the creativity of engineers across Europe and the democratic Western world. Many positive steps have been taken in this regard, such as the creation of the European Defence Fund, with its strong focus on R&D. In Belgium too, we will invest heavily in military R&D. No less than 350 million euro will be allocated each year over the next decades. I will create Odin, who is an R&D incubator, and I will fund it with 4 billion euros next decade. Sorry. But more steps are needed. I identify 5. First of all, European universities should drop their ethical objections to research into dual-use technologies. Governments should actively fund and support such research. This is not warmongering. It is essential to keep Europe secure and sovereign. Second, private investment funds should finance SMEs with promising military technology without hesitation. For years, well-intentioned ESG criteria discouraged such investment. That was a mistake. The EU and many governments have now lifted these restrictions. The private financial sector should follow. Investing in the defense industry is not unethical, ladies and gentlemen. On the contrary, it is one of the most ethical investments Europeans can make today. Third, we need fast-track procurement channels to help new players turn prototypes into operational systems. Small, quick procurements with short evaluation cycles can balance innovation into accountability. Not every project needs to be a multi-year mega contract. European Commission's Defence Omnibus proposal moves in the right direction. Belgium fully supports this. Let's make it happen now. Fourth, the large European defence firms should diversify their supply chains across SMEs in more member states. This is vital for resilience in times of conflict. Big member states should resist the temptation to keep their defence industrial manufacturing base domestic. We do no longer have the luxury of indulging in intra-European nationalism and protectionism. And finally, fifth, the US is not our adversary, nor is the American defense industry, ladies and gentlemen. It would be a big mistake for European states to refuse industrial cooperation with US partners out of principle. On the contrary, transatlantic cooperation in defense technology and production can boost our military capability. Moreover, it can reward us with industrial return and transfer of technology we currently lack. The F-35 is a prime example of this. Soon Italy will build F-35s with Belgian tails, German fuselages, and components from 5 other member states. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude. Our advantage over the authoritarian states that challenge us will not come from matching shell for shell, nor for drone for drone. It will come from 2 European features they cannot and never will replicate: the creativity of free people in free societies, and our ability to cooperate across borders and oceans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those opening remarks. A number of interesting points, I think, to follow up. Let me start with Ukraine. You said the ceasefire talks are doomed to fail, but where do you see this war going? What do you see is the trajectory, and what more should Europe do? Also, if President Trump pushes for a ceasefire.
Let me be very clear. I hope for a ceasefire. So yeah, my wish is that there will be a ceasefire and peace for the Ukrainian people. But personally, I don't really believe in a ceasefire because the strategic objectives of Mr. Putin are not achieved. And he keeps on claiming an occupied territory that is not gaining. There's small gain on the battlefield, but it's going very slowly. So I don't believe that there's a Ukrainian will to give up an occupied territory to Russia. No, there's not. So no, I don't believe that there will be a ceasefire or a real ceasefire. Maybe a fake one. We'll see. But what we have to do, personally, I don't believe, and maybe it's controversial that what I'm gonna say, but you said me to be frank. It's my name, so I'll give it a try. I don't believe in a military win. The Crimea is been occupied for more than 10 years. It will be very difficult to win that island or that peninsula. Military win will be there when we send European troops. But when I go to my parliament and I say, let's go and send 20,000 Belgian troops, and I ask a vote, I don't think a lot of parliamentarians will push on the green button, personally. It will be very disappointing, I think. So there's not a lot of support in public opinion in my country, but I think pretty much all of Europe to send European troops to Ukraine. So when we want to support Ukraine, we send weapons and financial aid and humanitarian aid, and having a lot of refugees of them here in our country, trying to integrate them, trying to help them out with a job, with social welfare, with security and assurance. But it's a difficult measure. I think that what we need to do is that we need to keep on pushing Russia on the economic scale. We can do 3 things. Sanctions. We can do more. Third-party sanctions are very crucial in this point. And when the United States is pushing on India for tariffs, whilst the European Union is negotiating with India for a trade deal, that's maybe not the best signal the West can give. We're not always the best. We're not always giving the best example. So sanctions. Second, we need to target their oil and gas plants. We're doing this. Deep strikes of Ukraine are really hitting them fully. That's why the tomahawks are so interesting. We can do more. We will do more, because this is really annoying Mr. Putin, because we're hitting his gold base. And third, we can do a lot of things about the shadow fleet. France is doing this. Baltic states were doing this. Scandinavia was doing this in the Baltic. Now we see that a lot of boats are going through the Arctic. But then again, we can do more on the shadow fleet. And that's our three key things that we can do. Personally, I believe that we can put Russia on its knees, not on the military phase. We never did, actually. The only that really did this was Afghanistan, the Mujahideen, but they're holy warriors and somebody who's fighting for a holy cause. It's very difficult to fight them and to win. So last century there was 3 times that we got Russia was on the knees, and it was 3 times with economics. So it's not impossible. I'm not pessimist, but I don't believe we will have a trade and ceasefire. Sorry, in 2 weeks. It will take longer. That's my personal opinion.
You mentioned financial aid to Ukraine. There's this ongoing debate, which we'll also have at the summit, around frozen assets. Clearly, the Belgian position here is well known. How do you see the issue of frozen assets? Is that something we should be accessing to further help Ukraine?
I think that we need to help Ukraine, but I don't think that the frozen assets is the best instrument. And I was at NATO Defense Ministerial last week, and I got some questions about it. And my Prime Minister, he told me, Theo, when they start about frozen assets, just send them to me. So my response is, please ask Bart de Wever. It's really delicate question, as you know, because we're supporting Ukraine for the full. And it's also very emotional for my Prime Minister. He's really dedicated to support Ukrainian people. It's also a family history for him. So, but saying that he's a bad supporter of Ukraine because he's not giving the 200 billion on frozen assets, that's not correct. That's just not true, and that's not he wants. Not that will be perceived like this. So, he's really engaged in this discussion. He will have this discussion. He had some calls the last days about this, and we keep on working on it. Some points, first of all, the juridical claims. There are a lot of claims. They're lying on our country. I received them at my cabinet, for example. So these claims are not you cannot joke about it. It's not funny, but it's really, really serious. So when you give it, and in a peace deal, Mr. Trump gives them back to Mr. Putin, who's going to pay it? Belgium? Then we're bankrupt. So we need to collectivize this. And then everybody says, yeah, it's okay. No problem. And then we say, sign it. And then they say, sure, yeah, 200 billion. A lot of countries in Europe don't have the best budget. Huh? So 200 billion. For my country, it's a lot of money. For some countries, it's maybe peanuts. I don't know. But for our budget, it's pretty worrying. That's one thing. And then again, when you talk about the financial system and the fact that money, state bank money, can be put somewhere out of political discussion, that stops and it can be claimed and just taken, maybe that's something that's like countries like China and authoritarian states and countries who are really against the West and who are just the big countries fighting us, maybe that's just the goal they want to achieve. That there's no trustworthy international capital system anymore. Maybe that's just the goal. So I don't think that we need to be naive. The fact that it's something existing like Euroclear, something existing like an international system of where you can put your money and that money is safe, whatever happens, the day that stops, it's not so evident. It's a precedent that we will create with a lot of consequences, I think. So, but then again, ask Bart de Wever, please. I just give some ideas, my personal opinions and ideas about it. But I absolutely understand that a lot of countries say they don't have the money on their bank account. They don't have the Euroclear on their territory. So they say, give it to Ukraine. And Belgium, when it goes wrong, your problem, man. We need to support them. So give your money, the money that is in your country, to Ukraine. That's easy to say, of course. It would be super nice if Euroclear would be in another country. Somebody candidates, you can just put your head in. I'll give it to you. So it's not so easy.
Very happy to also have your Prime Minister here to answer these questions.
He's occupied with the budget, so he's not making it today.
But just following up something you said on Russia, essentially about the true nature of Russia's plans. We've seen a number of incursions into NATO airspace with drones, with fighter jets, potentially also in Belgium with drones. What is the best response of NATO, of Europe, of Belgium to these incursions, and how can we prevent this testing of our defenses?
The best response is to keep calm. Keep calm and act. So I think that we need to have more detection systems. We need to have more counter-drone possibilities. I'll come to the government within weeks with a big package where I'll have more of these systems. So we need to act, but we also need to keep calm. I think that the fact that NATO response was really fast and really solid, it assures me that we're ready. We're not ready when we go to a full-scale war, that's for sure. But when they intrude our airspace, the systems that are there, they work. So I know that the drones and drone technology is a threat for global security, absolutely. And you can do pretty awful things with drones, pretty amazing things also. So it's like every weapon system. Yeah, we need to step up on drone bubble, drone shield, drone defense initiative, call it what like you want to call it, and we will do this. I will come with this within weeks. So I indicated the drone general. I think he's the first drone general of the world. So he's there for months. I'm minister for 8 months. That's one of the first thing I did. We need to learn more from Ukraine. I put more military in Ukraine, Belgian military, to learn from Ukraine, because what's happening there will be decisive for future warfare. And I don't want to have the equipment of the past. I want to have the equipment of the future, so my soldiers can win and not lose.
You mentioned also that you are spending more. Clearly, this also means there are pressures on other parts of the budget. So how are we doing generally reaching the 5% which we have committed to? And how do you deal with also the protests? I mean, we've seen a general strike. We've seen that spending is very controversial, and especially not spending in other areas is very controversial.
2 points. First of all, yes, 4 billion extra for defense is a lot of money. We're going up to 12 billion, but we have more than 200 billion social welfare expenses this year. So everything is pretty relative. We have 2% of GDP for hard security, defense. We have 25.2% of GDP for soft security, social welfare. So I think that 4 billion is a lot of money, but you have to keep everything into account. And I think that's very important, to see the bigger picture when we talk about Belgian budget. Second, we were a NATO founding father, but we were pretty much the worst pupil of NATO class for decades. And we pretty much destroyed our own defense. And now we have a big problem. So yes, we need to step up. We go doing the 2% this year. We will do it the next coming years. We have the 1.5. We already have that, so we have 3.5 on 5. Because it's a bit a discussion, a strange discussion. When you have 2 on 5, 2% on the 5%, then you're sacked. When my daughter comes home with a 4 on 10 on her report, on her exam, I say, oh my God, horrible. Go to your room and study. When she has 7 out of 10, so I say that we have 3.5 on 5. Because we have the 2 and the 1.5, we have that. So we have 3.5 on 5. So we have 7 on 10, not too bad. We need to do more, 1.5 more, but we have 10 years. We will do it. We will do it in 29. We have an evaluation of NATO. Geopolitical situation will be evaluated. It is in the NATO agreement of Den Haag. And we have elections in 2029. And then you have every political party can have a program. People vote. In our program, probably will stand that, maybe we'll see, but I think that when the geopolitical situation keep on being so difficult, probably we will step up. And when people want to vote for my party, whereas we're very clear on that objective, then they have to vote for us. When they don't like it, vote for somebody else. That's democracy, it's no problem. So I think that that we have a good evaluation moment in 29. It's an evaluation moment of a democratic election in Belgium, and we have the evaluation moment of the geopolitical situation within NATO that they promised to make. And then we'll see to do more. And when it's necessary, we will match up the standards. When it depends to me, when it's I don't know, it will be the next minister and we will next government. Maybe it will be a left-wing government, and they'll say no, we have to have 500 billion for social welfare. Maybe say 1 trillion for social welfare. I don't know. Maybe they want to give everybody 10,000 euro pension or something. Maybe they want. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't make those promises. When we can step up, reinforce our defense, start building again. I think we're on the right pathway. And when it's necessary, in 29 we will step up for 30 and the next coming years to meet the 5%. I'm not worried about that. It will come all together. I'm sure for that.
Spending is one thing, but also you mentioned, for example, the reluctance to invest in defense and security. I would say in many countries there are big barriers for people to go into the military, for engaging with the defense and security agenda. Would you say that is an issue in Belgium, and how do you change that kind of mindset?
In Belgium, defense is hot again. So we had a record, we broke the record on people who were soliciting for a position within defense. We had more than 10,000 last year. And this year, the year starts with the academy year, so it starts in September. And this year, the first month of September, we increased even with 10%. So yeah, we're doing super good actually. So in Belgium, there's not really a problem on being popular. A lot of people are interested to go into defense. We have a lot of people coming in on the military when they're young, but also reservists. We have a lot of reservists coming in. What I'm going to do is we start with a voluntary service year for youngsters. I will send a letter to all 17 years old. This letter is ready. It will come in November, so within weeks. Every 17 years old, it's 130,000 people, I think, in Belgium, will receive a letter from me to ask them to come in this voluntary. It's voluntary, it's not obligatory. So service year. And then on the other hand, I will stop with some age blocks. So like to be a reservist, you have to be under 50 years. But somebody who is 52 and is super fit, maybe it could be very interesting to come within our defense. And I'm going to be more flexible on some criteria like sports. When you have a cyber warrior who weighs 200 kilos and who eats a lot of Snickers and Twix and I don't know, junk food, but he wants to fight cyber fight for defense, and he's the best of Belgium. For the moment, he cannot enter. That's totally crazy. That's totally crazy. And then he has the possibility to come and fight for cyber force. You don't have to run 10 kilometers in in, I don't know, 40 minutes or 50 minutes to join the armed forces. It depends on what you're doing. I have some example. A guy from I'm also a mayor in Lübeck, who is very near Brussels, and a guy who was like always doing international procurement. The guy is super good, super good, and he's at pension. They put him at a pension at 60, and he doesn't want to be at home all day because he always had traveled and had a super nice international career. And he sends me an email and he says, "Can I help you, Theo? My mayor, can I help you? Now you're Minister of Defense, I support you. I want to do international procurement. I want to do procurement for Belgian army because you need people like me, believe me." The guy is too old. He cannot help. That's ridiculous. Stop those total ridiculous rules. We need everybody. And certainly guys who are doing international procurement because the procedures are so long. We need the best of the best. So yeah, that's some examples. So yeah, we're gonna adapt some criteria as soon as possible. We're working on it in my cabinet and with the defense staff. We're getting ready. Yeah.
One last question from me, and then I'll go out to the audience. Belgium is, of course, host of both the EU and NATO. How do you see the interplay between those two? Certainly, we've talked a lot over the last years of the war that there needs to be better cooperation. But sometimes it can still feel like very different parts of town. So how do you see that interplay between these two actors?
I think that we're on the right pathway. I think we had a horrible transatlantic marriage crisis with the new president coming in, taking office in January. We had really difficult months with also the debate on the tariffs. But I think that the NATO summit of Den Haag was a really turning point. It was a really good summit. I think that Mark Rutte did a great job. Everybody was like, "Oh, he was too much sliming." I don't know how to say it in English. Butt kissing, say it like that. But I think that he did a tremendous job. And moment de honte a vite passé. I think that he really did a tremendous job because it's not easy to be SecGen for the moment. And I think that since then we're getting out of our transatlantic marriage crisis. We're not there ready already, but it's getting better. It's my personal opinion. I'm an Atlantist thinker for many years, and that's how I see this crisis that we had and still having, but we're getting out. EU is doing good stuff, good plans. I think that with Kubilius and Kallas, we have strong leaders, people that really understand what it is and what Russia can do, but also what it is to really build coherence and a good defense industrial base, for example. So the omnibus is a good thing. Readiness last week, good plans. Let's take them into account and let's try to make something out of it. And they can count on me. They can count on my prime minister. They can count on Belgium. We are also very European thinkers, like we always been. Belgium is also very founding father and one of the most European thinking countries of all the Union. And that is steadfast. So that is really absolutely like this, and that will remain like this. The fact that NATO NDPPs, NATO defense planning, that the capabilities of NATO, that Kubilius keeps on repeating that these capabilities are also the capabilities for EU is crucial. This is key. It never has been like this. So explicit that the European Commissioner says that what every and each member state needs to do within the NATO framework is also what European Union demands of every and single European member state needs to do. So that is very important, that there's no ambiguity between what NATO demands of the member states and what EU demands of the member states. That is, I think that is very smart move of Mr. Kubilius and Mrs. Kallas. On NATO or EU, for me, that's a non-issue. I'm 100% pro NATO. I'm 100% pro EU, and we can perfectly do both. And do we need more strategic autonomy? Yes, yes. Does that mean that we will not buy things at Palantir, for example? No. Does that mean that we cannot buy F-35? No. When you have the best and the best of the best, for my military personnel, it is very important to have the best to get them secured, and also our civilians in this country. Yeah, and that means that we'll buy the best. And when there's no fifth generation stealth capacity on the air level, we'll buy F-35. Sorry. When the integration of data doesn't exist like Palantir has with Maven, we'll buy Palantir. But is it better to have a European alternative? Yeah, absolutely. Let's work on this. But we need some more time. And we need some more time to get there. And when I see that, for example, on the sixth generation fighter, the fighter jet, that we see that there are 2 programs in Europe, and that within one program, FCAS, it is not really working out, and the British-Italian is getting there, then I'm very worried, because that's not the way to go. We need to give good example with the Union, and trying to have one program, it will be so expensive already. So we need to have more countries within one program, I think. So, but I'm optimistic. I'm not pessimistic. Optimism is a moral duty. So I believe in our future. I think we stand strong. We will keep on standing strong. We need to do a lot of things. We cannot hesitate and wait and just see. No, we have to act. But look, at the end, we will win this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as I said, now we have some time for questions. If you could identify who you are and what organization you represent, and I'll take a couple of questions and then come back to you. So please, there's a microphone just coming.
Thank you very much. Is this on? Yeah. Thank you very much, Minister, for the great remarks. Very, very interesting. One question: where does your refreshing positive attitude on the future of the F-35, even under Trump, come from? And how do you explain the very negative outlook on many other European allies? Is it just self-interest or something else? Because the F-35 is quite remarkable aircraft, quite competitively priced. So how do you explain it? And secondly, more importantly, how did you get that pin, and how do I also get one like it? Thank you.
Okay. And there was another question there.
Thank you very much for very understanding presentation. My name is Hassan Daspish. I'm from Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran. Basically, I was expecting to hear about Russia and Iran also from your perspective regarding to defense, because as far as I understand, Ukraine is not only element or one dimension, two-dimension issue, is a multi-dimension issue which China is also engaged. And at the same time, Iran missiles reach to the Marseille in France. So it's also then a big problem. And my second question is, some people saying you are already Flanders-centric and now change direction to Brussels-centric. So how would it be, how you are going to explain this issue?
Yeah. Okay. On F-35, you're not getting my pin. I got it from Lockheed Martin last Monday. This is the fourth. There were only 3 coming in. Yeah. Nobody. The joke. Yeah. Okay. No, the fourth is pretty much there yet, so it's coming. Just some days. It was pretty painful to see that they were like, "Oh, we'll come with 4," and then finally there were 3 coming in. That was pretty painful. But okay, no. On the F-35, I think it's a very controversial program because, first of all, it's an American program, and there's of course there's European fighter jets, not as good and not with stealth like F-35 has, but there are European fighter jets of high quality. We have Rafale, we have Eurofighter, we have Saab Gripen. There are, of course, there are. Don't deny it. It's just the truth. But okay, F-35 will be the platform of 13 countries, European countries. We will have 600 going to 100,000 F-35s only in Europe. And this is something that really makes Putin nervous, because he cannot see them. He cannot see them. So it is really a capacity that is remarkable. That means that's yeah, of course, like you always have. It's also, I think, a bit jealousy. It's also, of course, with Mr. Trump and putting tariffs on us. It's a normal reaction of people that they say, "Why are you buying in with Mr. Trump in America? They're putting tariffs on us." And it's, why don't you buy European? It's a normal, logical reaction. I don't have problems with that. And we have a really crisis for the moment in our transatlantic relationship. So I fully understand, but also on that point, I think that we need to remain calm and just explain how things are and how why we choose for this type of fighter jet. 25% of industrial base of the F-35 is European. 25%. Belgium is in the program with more than 10 companies for the moment. When you see the stealth coating of the F-35, made in Belgium. So when you say, but there's a kill switch and they don't want to update software, when we don't deliver the coating, they don't have any F-35s also. So we're interlinked. We're interdependent. They're interdependent, I would say. I don't know. Interdependent, yes, that's the word. Thank you so much. On Iran, I didn't get a question about it, but I think it's very good that you mention Iran. As you know, I'm really engaged in the Middle East. I'm really engaged in Iran and Iranian politics and Iranian situation. Of course, they're interlinked. Of course, we don't only talk about Russian Federation. Of course, we need to talk about PRC. We need to talk about Kim Jong-un with his big or small button, and we need to talk about Tehran. Of course, that's very clear for me. I wrote some books about it. So yes, very important issue that you mentioned. I think that talking about F-35, what IDF did, taking out pretty much all of air missile defense systems of Iran, is pretty remarkable, and it's the best proof of how capable this aircraft is. So, wait, I'll drink. You know, the most important weapon of a politician is his voice. So no voice, no guns, no armor, no ammunition. It's really horrible. When you talk all day, sometimes my voice cracks. No, so on Iran, I think that for a moment, I hope there will be that Israel would push also for regime change. They didn't. I know why. It's not my call to give that explanation, but I hope there will be regime change. And I hope that Iran will be a beautiful country with all the beautiful people that it always was. That's my really, real deep wish. And I'm sure that when we have another regime and the Ayatollahs and Mullahs out of Iran, that we will have a whole other phase of the Middle East in the next coming decades. It will take time. We need redemption. We need reconciliation. It will be very difficult between Jews and Arabs, between Israeli and Gazans of Palestine, Palestinian people. It was very difficult between Germans and Belgians, between Germans and French after World War II. It was very difficult, and it's still difficult in South Africa. It will be very difficult between Ukrainians and Russians. Very, very extremely. But we need always to try to heal the world. There's no other option. There's no other option, guys. And I understand that that will be. I'm in a I live in. I'm a mayor from a little village where there were awful things happened in the Second World War, and there were families not even talking after 80 years because of what happened. But we need to turn the page. There's no other solution.
Now there are lots of hands, so I'm not sure we'll be able to go through. So I'll go with a couple more, which I saw first. First one there.
Thank you, Minister Francken. Do I need to turn it on? Should be on, right? Okay. I cannot hear myself, that's why. Kjeld Norbert from Euractiv, journalist. Two more jet-related questions. I think the pin just brings it up. You mentioned the F-16 training of Ukrainian pilots, and at the same time, F-35s have just arrived in Belgium. Does this mean that Ukraine can count on some F-16 soon from Belgium? If you could line out a timeline, a rough one. And the second one, Belgium is part as an observer in the FCAS program, which you have mentioned as well. Are you optimistic that this program will survive the year? Are you currently looking at other alternatives? You have also mentioned that it might be wise to merge programs. Yeah, maybe some insight on that part. Thank you.
Walk, because the other one I saw is here.
Thank you for your time. My name is James Bottoms with Logistic Unicor. We supply uniforms and equipment to a variety of countries around the world. Very curious to know if you see a time in the European procurement process where countries will start to come together to procure items, although, you know, specialized to the country, but where procurement processes cross borders, or do you foresee Europe remaining every country doing their own thing?
Very good question. Yeah, very good questions. Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, on F-16 program delivery to Ukraine, yes, we will keep on having these deliveries, but on schedule. That means that F-35, the first 3, not 4, came in. So we need to work them truly so that now we have the first phase, but they need to get operational. That takes, I think, 1 year, 1.5 years. When we have operational capacity, we can have our F-16s for Ukraine. So that's a very consequential phase. I always explain it to Ukrainians. It's always the same that I say. It doesn't change. So as fast as we can, we will give them. But don't forget that our country has DCA capacity. We are very important pawn within a nuclear deterrence policy of NATO. And this is the cornerstone of our doctrine. So please take everything into account, okay? That's all I think I can say. I cannot, because it's, of course, as you know, a very sensitive question, but it is very important to also mention DCA capacity and our role that Belgium has for many years within NATO nuclear umbrella. On the FCAS program, yes, we're observer. In my strategic vision, we want to be in fully. We have also money committed and everything. But for the moment, we just wait a bit because it is not really clear. There's a lot of smoke, and let's maybe just wait for the smoke to get out, and we'll see what's happening. I think that it is, for the moment, it is of first concern something between Germany, France, and Spain. France and Spain, and we'll see. So, and when we talk on one program, yeah, of course we need one project. Of course, that's totally normal that we have one project. Now we're gonna have an order of 100, 150 of each project. Will they cost what? 250 million each? It's crazy. How can you explain it to public opinion that fighter jet 6th gen will cost 250 million? So of course we need more production, and so we need to merge. When you talk about F-35, it is quite costly. They said, oh, it's the most expensive. No, it's not. Because they're selling so many. They will sell thousands and thousands of them. So that gets the cost down. Of course it gets the cost down. So that means that how more that we can produce with a European 6th generation fighter jet, the better. And we have 2 programs or 3 or 4 programs, that's not really efficient. And it will cost a lot of money, and I'm not going to explain it to public opinion, sorry. It has to. Everything is pretty expensive within military, yeah. Everything from a tank to a howitzer to a fighter jet. Everything. The costs blows our mind. So yeah, we need to keep on explaining to public opinion that's their money. It's not my money. It's taxpayers' money. It's not my money. I'm just trying to make the best out of it. And on the question about European procurement, is there change coming up or changement coming up? Yes, I think so. I think with the safe loans that we are in international program, European programs. So we are with Netherlands on the NASEM program. Like last week, I signed an agreement on that. We will be with there's a lot of coming up. I cannot tell you more, but there's a lot of things coming up the next coming weeks. So yeah, Belgium will be a leading force within SAFE. And we will be a leading nation because we believe also in this European way to think and way to take things into our own hands. So yes, we will have a lot of European projects. I'm very proud of it, but NASEMS is one concrete one, but there's a lot of coming up. Is that for everything, like our clothing contract we have with Belgian firms? When other countries want to join, they can, but we're not changing the contract because it's for 20 years. So, you know, it depends on what we're talking about. But on international equipment, big weapon systems, we will do as much as we can. We will do it together with nation partners. Yes.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Take 2 more questions.
Okay, very good. Then I saw there.
Many thanks. Thorsten Brandt, I'm heading the newly created EIB Group Office for Belgium. And Minister Francken, you had made a passionate plea for more cooperation in Europe, and as a financing institution which provides this year more than 3.5 billion in financing to European clients, I can just underline that this is really key, that we are cooperating more in purchases, in corridors, in industrial production. And I wonder whether you could elaborate a bit where you see potential in upcoming, let's say, 1, 2, 3 years for cooperation between Belgium and its neighbors in larger scale or smaller scale, be it infrastructure, corridors. So where do you see the Belgian point of having more cooperation with its neighbors? Many thanks.
Hello, Karel de Koning from Brussels Signal. You mentioned Tomahawks from America, but we also have the German Storm Shadows. Is that being discussed today? And the second question, you said NATO capacities or EU capacities. How about Taiwan? Is that being talked about also? Because there's also tension over there.
Yes, on what do you see like European future with our neighboring countries? We have a lot of integration. So Belgium has the most integrated navy with the Dutch. So we're buying frigates together. We're buying mine hunters together. So we're doing pretty much everything on the navy together. We have integrated staff on the navy ships that we have on our vessels. I don't think there's one country in NATO that does that. Only we do this. So we're very integrated on that point. Air Force also very integrated with the Dutch. We have the same platform, F-16. We will have the same platform with F-35. There's just some years before us, but we're coming coming to catch them. Air missile defense we're doing with NASAMS, and then we're doing a study or Patriots or maybe TAT or maybe some PT, so that's not decided yet. On drones, we have the intention to work really intensively together also with the Dutch, also on small arms. As you know, we have Evan Herstal Browning, one of the primes in the world on small arms in our country. They're doing a tremendous job, I think, for the moment. A lot of delivery to Ukraine. I'm really proud that we have them. Then with the land force, the army, we're going fully integrated with the French, as you know, with the Camo project. So Jaguar, Griffon, Serval, César, we will buy it all. That will be very integrated. So yeah, actually, I think that on all domains, we're pretty much an example of European integration, and with working together with our neighbors. The only neighbor that we're not really working together is Germany. That's why I saw Boris Pistorius last week for a bilateral at our NATO headquarters at the Belgian Ale, and we had a good bilateral. We will start by a Germany-Belgium Defense Industry Day in 26. So that's really news, and that will be one big step, because we not really know each other, and Germany will be a leading nation for the next coming years, and so I think it's important to work together. We're buying Sky Rangers, so I had a good meeting also with Rheinmetall. So yeah, we're trying to integrate with our neighboring countries. As you know, we're a small country. We're always a country that believes enormously in multilateralism, in working together to stand stronger. Alone we cannot win, but together, it's when the chain is strong, then we will win. So we're always thinking about cooperation with other countries. Always, that is just our mentality in our country. So that's just how we think, how we see things. Then, sir, on your questions, the first question was on Taiwan. Yes, is there things evolving? Absolutely, but we'll see. I don't think that for the moment we have to be very concerned for the moment, but it's something that we need to take into scope when we talk about the big conflict that is actually happening in the world between the West and the circle of evil. So yeah, I think that Taiwan will be one of the main issues the next decade. But for the moment, I think that it's pretty okay. Then on Tomahawks and Storm Shadows, yeah, it's a German decision, of course. I cannot interfere. I have no news on that. I'm not the German Minister of Defense. I'm only the Belgian Minister of Defense, so I cannot comment on that. So I don't know what's happening there. I didn't have an update on that. On the Tomahawks, I saw that for the moment it's on a pause. But believe me when I say you that it will come again, this discussion. Like I said in my introduction on Russia.
Thank you very much, Minister. We have run over a little bit, so very grateful for you to come here to have this frank and open discussion, to answer almost all the questions. One question we have to get your Prime Minister, but certainly looking forward to continuing to exchange on that. In the EPC, we are very committed, and we will continue our DevSec EU project to carry on the work, given the many challenges we have talked about. So thank you very much. Thank you also to your team for enabling this. And thank you to my team as well for organizing this. And all of you, thank you very much for being here. I'm sorry I couldn't take all of the questions, but you'll just have to come again for the next event. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.